Hello and welcome back again. Firstly, I have to say I've got a new camera and I've got a lavalier microphone. I'm hoping you're not going to see me spinning around at 3000 revs a minute as the video goes on. I shall try and remember to take it off. I have wound it around the tailstock to try and make sure we all end up intact at the end of the video, which we'll see. I do have this habit, if you've seen videos before, I'll forget something and wander across the other side of the workshop, so I'm hopefully going to not do that today. Today's video, we're looking at salad server kits, basic salad server kits here. I'm going to take these out of the pack. Hopefully it won't rustle too much and you can hear me with the rustling of plastic. What we have is a pair of stainless steel ferrules. We have a stainless steel salad fork and, surprise surprise, a stainless steel salad spoon. They are pretty easy, to be honest, to make. I've got a bit of elm on the lathe here, and what I'm actually going to do, just to be a bit different, I am going to turn it, but I'm going to leave the main handles actually square. So we'll see what happens when I do that. I have had a practice before. I have to say I quite like square handles. Whilst they're square, you still have to turn them because you have to turn the bits for the ferrule and you have to drill in the centre and whatever, and there are other ways of doing it, but if you've got a lathe, then this is by far the easiest way of doing that. So let's get rid of these bits of plastic to start with. I will, as always, point the camera down at the lathe and I will put up the dimensions of the things on the screen as we go through, so you can see those written down. That means I can do it while I'm actually editing it instead of talking to you, and I can unpin this microphone. Right, without any more ado, let's get down to where the business happens. So here's my piece of elm. It is around about, I think it's about 150 mils long, maybe slightly longer, but we can obviously trim it down. Up at this end I've got a centre finder. I'm going to do find the centre on this, and then I'm going to drill the hole for the tang of the kit. And for anyone that doesn't know, that bit of metal there that goes inside the wood is called the tang of whichever kit it is. That's called the tang. And then what we're going to do is turn it around, turn it between centres and turn the round bits, and then I'm just going to shave off the corners to leave a shaved corner, and also then I can just sand on the sanding machine and by hand the square finish and just take off the sharp edges. Let's see how we get on. So as with all kits, the first thing I'm going to do is to actually measure the parts that I need. Now if I measure this end, on this particular one it's 6.1 millimeters, and up here 6.97. So it very much depends on the hardness of your wood as to what size drill you actually need in there. I'm going to start with 6 millimeters, which is going to make this end tight. It may be too tight to fit up this end. It depends how much your tang forces open your wood, and that depends on how hard the grain is in the wood, and that's the one thing that we really can't tell you about, because only you know the wood that you're using. So I'm using elm. It shouldn't be too bad. I would say I'm hoping to get the 6 millimeter drill hole to work with this. It would probably work with oak, it would probably work with beech. Chances of it working with African blackwood or yew, very, very slim indeed. If you're lucky enough to have some lignum vitae, well, as well as wearing out your tools, you've got absolutely no chance. You're probably going to have to glue the entire thing in and drill it out to 7 millimeters. But as I said, only you that's actually making these will know. So this is a guide. It's not an instruction, because we can't instruct for all the different types of wood. So hence this is a guide. But I'm going to start off with centre finding the hole, drilling a 6 millimeter hole, and then turning the relevant bits that we need to fit the handle. I'm going to measure my tang for the depth that it needs to be, and just ensure that I've got enough depth in there, which at the moment, hopefully you can see, I haven't quite gone far enough in there to get the full tang in here. The tang lengths of all kits and even on these kits can vary, so you need to measure these parts. You don't want too deep a hole because we're going to glue this later, so just the right length, a fraction over, that's about right there. Okay, now we can look at turning the piece around, mounting it between centres, and turning the part for the ferrule and just the shoulders for the square ended handle. So having done 2 blanks, because we need 2 handles, what I'm now going to do is use a dead centre at this end to drive it. I've got one of our live centres at this end. This one's got a steb centre on it, so it's got lots of little grips. They're quite sharp on there, so I'm going to mount the first handle and get it as level as I can, and with a reasonable pressure. You can use a normal live centre if you want to. You will get a point to turn it on. There we go. It's easier to centre a point. However, as you can see, I'm not quite sure whether the camera will pick up the grain in here. When you have a point, all these grains are different hardnesses, and in this it probably won't make much difference, but sometimes if you're going to do a one-ended kit and it's on something like a mandrel, it might be quite difficult because the point, because it reacts with the different hardness of the grain, can push it just fractionally off centre. So you can have a live centre up here, and when you release it, it just moves slightly, only fractionally, but it's something worth considering. These I quite like this little steb centre. It holds it quite firmly. It doesn't make a massive hole into your piece, and I've got plenty of room to actually get to the piece there. So I am now just going to turn for the ferrule at this end, and the shoulders here and here, and then pretty much it's just sanding, polishing and putting the kit together. So what I'm now doing, I'm just holding the second blank, the right way round of course, hole at this end, next to my other one, and what I'm actually going to do, let me turn it around, I've actually already done it, but I'll just explain to you what it is I've done. I've lined them up, I've put a little mark where I've trimmed for the ferrule, another little mark where my shoulder starts, and another mark at this end where I'm going to trim down to and trim the shoulder off, and that is about hand size for me. So you will see that I've actually left myself quite a lot of wood on there, and when I pop the ferrule on, it fits quite nicely. There's a little bit too much wood. All I'm going to do is literally just sand. Can't get it off again. Come on, you devil. Right, I'm just going to sand this bit. I've made the two the same, so I'm going to sand them down till that ferrule just meets the shoulder here of the handle. Just while I'm talking about ferrules, just for those that may not be aware, I can't tell you why they're called a ferrule. What do? Basically what happens with the kit that we're looking at with the salad servers is that the tang that's going in there is trying to force the wood apart. So if we push a tang in there without anything here, what potentially can happen is the wood splits, and you get a horrible looking thing at the end. So the ferrule goes over there, which is round, and basically all that does is provide a nice flat clean surface for the metal part to fit into. It also stops the wood splitting out. So if you didn't know, now you do. I've got the salad server part in the vise. This has got some leather parts on it. I don't want to squash this, I don't want to scratch it. I've got my ferrule on, which is lined up the correct way for this square handle. I've already got some glue down there, and I'm now just going to gently push that onto there. Right, if it gets stiff like this, you might need to gently tap it in. I've got a little mallet here, another little bit of spare leather. I'm just going to literally just tap that. Tighten it up a bit more. I think that's as far as it's going to go. There we go. So I have to say, knocking the ends on whilst you're filming is not very easy. Mrs. Prokraft was holding the camera and trying to film for me, and we were fighting for space with each other, but they do go on. Here's the finished things. You can see those there. Hopefully quite a nice little set, not very expensive, a little bit different with wooden handles to normal round ones, but of course you can turn them whatever shape you want to. So there we go, a simple little kit, ideal salad servers, and quite a nice pair there. I have to say, elm doesn't really look much when it's on the lathe, but I'll just show. I mean, I love elm. I think that's a beautiful looking piece of wood. You may not agree, but I think they look super. I'm very happy with those. As always, I hope that's been helpful. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care, whatever it is you're doing, turning, flat stuff, box making, whatever it might be, do it safely, and we'll see you at the next video. Thanks very much. Bye bye for now.